All right, we are ready to roll here. What's up, gangy? All right, man. This is first episode of this podcast here. It is called JitzOphrenia, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? Aloha. We're from Honolulu right now, Hawaii. My name is Jazka Ibiko'o. I'll be your host for this, and these esteemed gentlemen who will be my co-hosts are Johnny Verone and Moku Kahawai. Behind the camera is our man, brother John Sabati. Thank you, John. You the man, cuz. Maybe he'll share his jiu-jitsu journey. Reason why we're putting this podcast together is because Hawaii is known as a warrior culture state to most. We would say nation, right? We can vocal like eater in.
Dude, did you see it? Yeah.
Right. But that's why so what our goal is for this podcast and for this show that we're doing is to, through our perspective and through our experience of being jiu-jitsu guys and practitioners in Hawaii, would be of why, how, and we do things here, right? Because we have some interesting characters in our sport, I guess. Yeah.
In every sport.
Yeah.
In every sport.
But okay, so let's introduce. So we got a couple of sponsors already, which is real cool. So sponsor-wise, we'd like to send a shout out to Kona Grill House, which is in Kealakekua. And Moko, I told them you were coming, so look at that, boo. So this is, show the camera. This is smoked prime rib from Kona Grill House. They used to be, remember that, man, sun-dried specialties, yeah. So they're known for their poke bowls and whatnot. And
Destroy.
oh, bro. So anyway, yeah. So on this show, you're not gonna hear anything about like vegan dishes or what's your diet. Because as you can see, we eat good in Hawaii, so we'll be showcasing food a lot. So let's get started with I guess let's talk with you first, Johnny. As far as a little bit about yourself and how martial arts, or I guess martial arts and then jiu-jitsu came into your life.
Yeah, it was martial arts first because my mom didn't want to put me in any sports, and I grew up without a fatherly figure, so my mom was paranoid with putting me in sports that I might get hurt. But I wanted to do karate because it was the closest thing I could be to being a ninja or a ninja turtle or a Power Ranger. So
Naruto.
yeah, well, this is
You was
way
always this
before
big?
that. No, I was always a skinny guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was always skinny before I started, before I got a job and I can eat when I choose kind of thing, just like right now. But yeah, I grew up doing traditional martial arts. Started off with Dan Magnus World Class Karate. Then it moved to John Kyle American Karate with Shane guys. And then from there I got my first introduction of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but I didn't realize that it would grow into something.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a break because I was more into hanging out with friends and all of that, and my mom was sad because my mom specifically told me that when you did karate and the parents used to ask whose kid that was, she used to go, that was mine. And she said, that was the only time I was proud of you.
Oh.
And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, you always brought them back grades, so that's why I always give you nickets. And I'm like, wow. But yeah, and then I would say one time during high school, I think it was, I want to say 99, we're lifting weights at Gold's Gym, and there was a guy keep eyeing me out with cauliflower ear, and I remember, like, bro, who is this guy? He came up to me, and his name, it was actually Bronson Ockdahl. It was Bronson Ockdahl. Just keep giving me the look. I'm like, who is this guy? And he asked me if I knew anything about jiu-jitsu. And I said, yeah, I know a little. And at the time, I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and I used to tap out all my friends, like guys that people used to be scared of in school and stuff, like bigger guys, because I knew jiu-jitsu, but nobody else knew jiu-jitsu at the time. Like,
Wait, was this when, what was your Average Joe's, or is this
way before Average Joe's.
Oh.
This is probably when
This
there
is
were
way-
really no gyms.
There wasn't any.
There was just guys like Dave Elliott
Yeah.
and Nee, where we had
No, this was
mats.
back in the
So
day.
anybody that was looking to grapple was just trying to find anywhere with mats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bronson was asking if you want to, come train with me and stuff. I said, nah, I'm good, because I didn't really know who he was. But because he kind of gave me this weird vibe. I was lifting weights with my friends. And then I would see him again. He'd always give me this look. So I'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to tap this guy out so he can leave me alone. I remember, like, because everyone's like, oh, who's that guy? You should let go. And I said, don't worry about him. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to train with this guy and just tap him out and so he can move on. And then next thing you know, I showed up at his place, and it was actually at Shane's, it was at John Kyle's place when the lights were, I think they were like, John Kyle was in the mainland and the studio was going down. But I guess Bronson had mat space that he was borrowing from Shane guys. So I showed up and I'm like, oh, you're gonna get it. And then he was tapping me out like four times in a minute, and I was just like, what the hell?
Unacceptable.
Yeah, I was pissed. I was like, so everybody was like, oh, why, you didn't tap out that guy? I'm like, I'm gonna be back until I beat this guy. So I kept going back, and then Bronson just kept getting his way with me, and he kept talking about like Noviniao and BJ Penn is this, BJ Penn is that. I'm like, what? I didn't even care about that. I just wanted to beat this guy. I just want to beat this guy and then move on and be like a pro bodyboarder and have like a lot of girlfriends and this and that.
The dream.
Yeah,
every local boy's dream.
Yeah, I just wanted to like move on, and I couldn't beat this guy. And along the way, he would do like mixing a little bit of MMA training. Like we would do stuff like after class. Like we would roll on the road with our stink rash guards, and if you wash your gi, then you and panty, and you lose all your mana. So I remember all my friends, we used to party, like, bro, what does that smell? And then you lift up the trunk, had my gi and rash guard, like all
whoever gets stabbed
smelly.
is the king, bro.
Yeah, it was kind of like, you don't wash your gi. It's like, I just did whatever Bronson said. So Bronson made me do all these crazy drills. My goal was to beat this guy, and then I was going to move on. And we started training at the boxing gym too, and that's where I met Junior, and Champ was working out together.
Oh, Junior.
Yeah, Junior and
Gumby.
Yeah, and Junior was good friends with Egan and I was training. They were training together at Grappling Unlimited, and I remember Junior was kind of like Splinter, like he was like a sensei, smaller, older guy, but he would just play with you, and that's where I met Champ, and then we all hooed up together at I think we moved to like Kona Jiu-Jitsu. And then we were using their spot, but they were going down too. But that's how we all met each other. We started training. I was the youngest guy training with all the adults. And then I remember like my sole purpose was to beat Bronson. And then all these guys came. And then, I was just kind of up the level. But I remember I like did everything I could to get the upper hand. And they were talking about BJ Penn and all these guys. And they're telling me all these stories. I'm like, there's no way this guy from Hilo is that good. Like, the guys in the mainland's good, like the Gracies and the Shamrocks. And I remember DVDs, the UFC DVDs were kind of hard to get a hold of. And I remember my favorite fighter at the time was Frank Shamrock. And I started subscribing to Full Contact Fighter magazine, or actually it was a newspaper. And Frank said that BJ Penn was like the next big thing coming into the sport. And I was like, what? He's really that good? And then, I remember the first time the Purple Belt came into town. That was like the most craziest thing. That was Roydin Di Mota. He came over, and then Ross the Boss Ibanez came over, and then the Pens came, and I was just, I didn't think much. I just wanted to beat these guys. Like, there's no way these guys are this good.
Okay, you went from Bronson to the Pens. Now, did you beat Bronson already? Didn't you like Bronson?
I caught up to him, and then then I haven't seen him. He moved on, became a police officer in his schedule.
Okay,
yeah, he's a black belt now on the wall.
Yeah, he's a black belt. So we're all training together, and then I stuck with it, and Bronson became a police officer and moved on. And then I kind of stuck with it. I kind of went from there with our group of guys, but at the time it wasn't as consistent. So I just wanted to see what Hilo was all about, because they were talking about how good the guys was. So I started making the drive to Hilo. I think like. How long has it been? I'm gonna say 2004. I was making the drive. I was going to day classes, and then said you gotta go nighttime.
I remember we had just started being friends on Facebook around the time, and I remember seeing you do posts of driving over, and I used to think, wow, this guy drives all the way to Hilo to train. Man, that's crazy.
Because at the time there wasn't too much guys training, and over there, like that's when BJ was making his way up.
Yeah,
you know, that's when BJ was the champ.
Yeah, if you're gonna train somewhere, train with the world champion.
Yeah, and he used to bring a lot of guys. Like the cool thing about BJ was that you're allowed to train. You could train with him and the brothers and all the guys that he brings down. And then it just attracted so much people from all over the world. I mean,
I gotta remember like Joe Lozang guys.
Oh, Joe Lozang. Joe was cool. He would stay for months. There's choke guys, Lucas Leish.
I think Shaolin also came down at one time.
Shaolin came. All of those guys. Ramina Sato was there.
It was like $200 for a seminar. Holy smokes.
Right.
Nah, but with that kind of stuff, it's so worth it if that's your lifestyle.
When you first went over, who were your teachers?
It was them. It was when I first started going over. It was BJ, all the brothers, Sharuto. It was most of them, all of them. So you used to benefit from learning from all of them. And if something would click, BJ would like stop the class and be like, okay, this is the move. This is what we're gonna do right now. And just matches, because that's when he used to have the My Gym show. And I remember when BJ said that he was gonna do the My Gym show. And the My Gym show is actually an online free training course. He was gonna have technique of the day, match of the day, and he was gonna show a bunch of techniques.
I can remember that.
Yeah.
It used to be like circles, and then people would go against each other.
Yeah, that was like during Albert Manners during that time.
Bad Manners.
All of the guys, all of the boys. Yeah, it was all of the guys. It was super good fun. Shane Nelson was coming up.
Wow.
All of the guys. It was so good fun. But I remember when BJ said after class, he told me, hey, what do you think? I'm going to have this online stuff. And I'm going to have technique and show it. It's going to be for free. I'm like, really? You're willing to show it for free? And he was like, yeah, I want to get it out there. I want to pass on the knowledge to everyone, for everyone that, wants to learn. And I said, but what about all the instructors that are going to be upset at you, like Bruce Lee, trying to teach the Westerners the Chinese martial arts? And I guess they're going to have to come down here and they're going to have to
do something about it.
If you can kick my ass, then I'll stop. I was like, just like Bruce Lee in the rooftops. They would fight in the rooftops. But I just thought that was pretty cool of him. Like, BJ has always been a very cool, generous person. Whenever he has a chance to help out the guys, he always help them out. Even with all the sponsors and gears, he would always, a lot of times he would give it away, like to anyone that needed training gear, or even like Lucky Geese are kind of pricey, and then he cut them down to like $125.
Oh wow, he's still getting.
No, it's been a while. But that's just how they were. They're very generous and kind people. So that's why I'm always with. My heart's always with BJ.
Yeah.
And the Penn family, they're basically family. So, yeah. But in the whole journey, I took out like 3 cars, like just doing the drive. Used to have a Honda with a blinking light. Ran that to the ground. I had a Mazda Protege.
You put in some miles, huh?
Miles, yeah. And I just had to pick up a new car because I put my Kia Soul through the ringer, so I had to get a brand new car. So I had to pick up actually a second job so I can pay for this car and then start getting back to training. So that's the goal, is getting back to training. That's the goal. Even though I was like, you still can go back? Like, I have to. That's my journey. That's my path.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be me if I stopped.
I don't think there's any other art, and I've all of us have taken others, so we can probably all attest to this, that most other arts, like when you train, like it's like, okay, that's my Tuesday, Thursday. If I can make it, I can make it. Like jiu-jitsu is I going off island. I gotta find one place to roll. You know what I mean? Like you don't. It's the one art that people don't like to take breaks on, or will drive across the island to go do. You know what I mean?
Well, for me, because you can feel the progression. Like my motivation for the drive is like, I know what my training partners like to do. I don't like to miss class because, if you take a long break, you're gonna feel off tempo, off rhythm, kind of thing. And I just feel like I'm stronger if I'm on the mat training with everybody. You just feel so good at the end of the night when you go to work, do your thing, and then you get on the mats. You just feel so good. Like going to the gym is always the hardest part, but as soon as you're on the mat, like the body takes over, and it's just so enjoyable. just being on the mat training with everybody, asking, how's your day and how's everything going? How's the family catching up? So it's a very intimate martial art, just because you just meet people from all places of the world that you wouldn't normally meet, like in person, like at work. You don't tell everybody, you're high and by, but you don't get to know. But on the mat, you kind of like,
you have that one common bond.
Yeah.
You might not have anything in common with them other than that, but that's all we need as jiu-jitsu guys.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful thing.
It's like what you said though, it's like in boxing, you don't see other people go to boxing gyms and it's like, I need to box today. And like, you want to roll with people that you trust, that kind of is like, okay, you're not going to like knock me out. But in jiu-jitsu, it's like, we can go hard, but I can tap anytime soon. But with boxing or kickboxing, whatever, it's like, 2 minutes is not up yet. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Or maybe they might do some bad work, but sparring jiu-jitsu, I think, is the funniest and most retaining martial art, because you're not hitting somebody repeatedly over and over here.
I don't have that patience to be like, if you hit me, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't. But in jiu-jitsu, you can armbar me.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu has definitely will teach people with uncontrollable tempers, for at least in that situation, to control it.
It also weeds them out too.
It
weeds them out too. Guys that are bullies, they don't like to be bullied or being the small dog. So
I remember running into a guy like that at my previous gym. It's like maybe his first 2 days, and wrestler, very like cocky, and I said, this guy not gonna make it through the week, just because that attitude of gotta grind and
go hard
and gotta go hard, and you know what I mean, and not having the humility when you get tapped. Then there's that no, we gotta go again. That was a fluke or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I think like there's like I even had some friends from Russia, and they're like they take it's like a whole different way of how they look at they rather get submitted than they get double legged or take down. Like that is like.
So they rather get the double leg is more.
Yeah, because like wrestling is that is just them right there. They don't want to get you take them down. They're just. Yeah. But if you like armbar them triangle, they're like. Eh.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So when I was in Kazakhstan with them, they're just like, nobody taking me down. Yeah, I'm not taking you down.
No, but it's their culture.
Yeah, it's their culture, and that's like huge for them.
It's their culture.
Yeah.
That makes sense though. I mean, and that's when you see the mentality of a lot of those kind of fighters, even some like from Japan or whatever, that when that's their training, and it just shows in their career. You know what I mean? That discipline.
Same thing like I guess other arts like let's say boxing, you fly an armbar them and then there's like, but then you knock them out, they're like. It's some like European country that does like savate or whatever, they're like,
But also with Brazilians too, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like now that America and the rest of the world caught up, it's kind of, that was their thing. Even the UFC, I'd be like, no, don't submit. I'm like, no, whatever you do, like that was like the worst thing. You didn't want to see like your hero get submitted. You can knock him out, but don't tap him out. Just don't beat him at their own game. But you cannot like pass the guard or put him in a bad position, because that was like
That's true. Moko, when did you Moko, you're actually you're younger than both of us, aren't you?
I am 34.
So younger than you? Yeah, definitely younger than me.
Yeah, my jiu-jitsu journey, it started somewhere like I think I was in high school, and I met Dave Elliott actually, and I started from a self-defense. I wanted to go because I was raised up in pretty I didn't have I guess a rough childhood, I guess, upbringing, and I was like, you have to be tough, and I was like, move on. And I wanted to learn self-defense, and met this guy, Dave Elliott. He's a big, huge white dude, and I was like, who's this guy?
Him and his brothers,
they're like monsters.
They totally look like pro wrestlers.
So then, this is when I heard that they roll on, he trained on Lucia Street, I think, was that, when he was over there. And joined the class, and I was just, wow, this this is interesting art. And it was Kempo I was learning at first. And then it was like Kempo Jiu-Jitsu. So I was like, I didn't really get into Jiu-Jitsu first. It was like Kempo, and then it was like knife fighting. And and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would have rolling times. And that's when I met Champ. I met Junior. And
that's funny. That's where I met Champ too. Was at Dave's.
Yeah. And then, but this is when I was getting really good at knife fighting and like self-defense. So I think I remember one of this is when I was also finding out about who BJ was, and I was pretty young too. So everyone was like BJ this and BJ Penn that, and I was like, my dad would lick that guy, but I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
And then like some of my friends would be like, oh, that guy's from BJ's school, he's a blue belt. I was like, and I didn't know nothing about jiu-jitsu or anything, and
didn't know how dangerous blue belts were.
Yeah. And I was like a man child, so I looked like I was like 23, 24, but I was like 14 or something. So I was pretty big, and then I'd be going against these guys, and then they're like, let's do jiu-jitsu, Moku, and then they're like, try to do a double leg, and I'm like, I would, and I coming from like, I was like thinking about knife fight, I was like, man, I'll fillet your back.
No, what was the word you wanted to use? There was a word that you used.
Yeah, I was like, if you double leg me, I'm gonna fillet your back right off.
No, use the funny word. There was like a funny, there was like a kung fu name it had to. You said you were gonna use a certain technique to like stop the double leg. What was it? What was it?
I don't know, but it was like, in my mind, I was like, man, that's the wrong move to do on me. I'm going to rain elbows on you if you do that. I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was, and then they're like, no, Moku, it's a sport, you know, like you do 2 points, and they're telling me about Naga. I was like, what is Naga? It's like, oh, Junior won like two years in a row, Naga. I was like, what is this 2 years in a row? What is this? I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Then I found out it was like a sport, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then played the sport. And then I met Champ. Champ was like, I was like the worst white belt ever. You put me in a triangle, I'll power bomb you. Like the worst. Like I didn't know all the etiquettes of jiu-jitsu where you're not supposed to power bomb people.
No, but that was instinct. That was instinct.
Yeah, 'cause I was coming from a self-defense. I was like, for me, I was really thinking, where's the nearest corner and power bomb?
Yeah. Smash.
But then I was like, no, Moku can't do this. So it was a lot of like, don't do this, don't do that. I was like, oh, okay, this is how you be nice. And I really learned from like Champ, because he was like, I guess he just had this flower sweep down, and I was just like, how are you doing this to me? And then he just like, flower sweep gets onto the mount, and I was like, and then I remember he did like, I think it was Dave, where he had his hand like this, he did in Ezekiel. That's the first time I ever witnessed a gi choke. And I was like, I was looking at my dad, I was looking at my brother, he's cheating! He's cheating! I was like, and it was like, this is Ezekiel. I was ready to like, thumb in the eye. Self-defense! But I was like, no, it's a sport move. I was like so hard to learn how to tap in the beginning, because my freaking brain was like survive and destroy.
All right, we're back. We had to take a quick break for because it was getting dark. We're actually gonna be doing this show out of a studio soon, with a different setup, with a better setup. But we're just so excited to get started. We would just say, we'll just do this in my dining room for our first episode, just to kind of chat a little bit. So we're talking about Moku, and Moku was about to kill somebody who was trying to triangle him.
Yeah, they were trying to Ezekiel me. I was just like, what is this sorcery? And it's like, and just staring at someone like, stop him from cheating. He's cheating. And immediately, I didn't know how to get out of it, so I was trying to like, I don't know, thumb the eye or whatever, like cross strike. I was like, anything to get this big giant off of me. It was David on top of me, so he was just like, so that was my first experience with the gi choke, and I was like, oh, I kind of like the gi game, and I was like, there's a lot of control, and other than that, from there, it was just fell in love with competition, moved to California, and competed out there. I went from being like self-defense, moved to like competitor, and now I'm like switching into being a teacher, and that's my like transition.
When you went to be a competitor, you went with the Mendez brothers immediately when you went over there, or?
Yeah, I went over there immediately, and I went there because I wanted to learn what makes them such good, what makes them win a lot of these championships each year and consistently, and must be like the way they train or the way they think. I don't know. I was very curious, and I went over there and I wanted to learn whatever the system was, and they were really good at being creative, and they had a set moves, and if you defended that, the next year they had the answer for that. And it was just very interesting, creative ways that I was learning how to play the game. I chose them specifically too because I'm a big guy, and just so happened I could do barrel bowl and all those moves and stuff like that, and I'm flexible enough. But I wanted to stick out, so they're a lot of times people are like, "Why are you at a small guy school?" Because I wanted to stick out.
Nobody in this gym wears above an A2, but
no,
you.
No. I was definitely the heaviest guy there, for sure. 100%.
Oh, he was like the boogeyman over there.
Oh, I bet.
Man, yeah. They would send me on assassin missions. Just some guy visitor would come and just the geese were like, "Mark, go and destroy him." I was like,
Oh, green lighting.
Yeah.
okay, but I just I'm sorry, buddy. And,
Nothing personal.
I must destroy.
I must break you.
I must break you.
Yeah, so now I'm here and teaching, and that's my journey now. Now it's learning how to teach something complex in the most simplest way to people, students, people I train with, and that's definitely the next challenge for me.
And you've racked up in your career, what do you got, brown belt worlds and a no-gi worlds?
Yeah, so I went up there, and before I went in there, I told myself I'm not coming back home until I win a world title. And then 3 months later, I won my world title. I was like, this is too soon. This is not happening. What is going on here? And then after that, I think it was 6 months, I was on the road. I was everyone was just wondering, who is this guy? And I was winning pretty much a lot of tournaments. And then during that, I was winning, I think I won Master Worlds in that year too. That same 6 months later. Then I went to Portugal and won second place. That was amazing. I went against a guy who was his name is Otavio Malati. And he's like a walking refrigerator, just big dude, just like a walking Mini Cooper. And usually when I push people, they move, and he just
didn't move.
I moved.
The juggernaut.
Yeah. So those are I won American National. That I did really good at brown belt, and then when they gave me my black belt, I was like, no, I'm not. I just got to know who's the who in my division. And I wish I had more time to form a game around them. But they're like, nah, you won double gold master. So I think I won Masters Worlds 3 times, and then at double gold and Master Worlds, and that's when they gave me the belt. And I was like, no, give me more time. But I just took the challenge, and now I'm here. Now it's I'm going against guys who are has way more experience than me, and I'm playing catch up. So.
As far as a teacher, or?
Competitor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's right. When you're trying to go back.
Yeah.
Is it true what they say that competing or teaching will mess up your competition game?
For me, not so much, because it helps me break down my game even more. It's sometimes when I'm teaching, I notice other details and stuff when I'm teaching, especially when I break it down from, okay, this is the big picture of what you want to do, and these are the small details to get to this picture here, and then so you can paint that picture. And then I started noticing especially when I'm teaching with different body types, some big round guy or really lanky people and flexible people, those details tend to change, and then, so I tend to learn how to be more adaptive, you know, like as I change my game, because it's like one technique does not fit all, you know, like on each person, and that makes me a better competitor. So before it was like, this sweep will work on anyone, and no, not really, not.
How did you? Is there a preference in your for competition with gi and no gi?
You know, it was weird.
I know your slams are a lot more spectacular on video in the no gi.
Yeah, nogi I did. In nogi, I do really a lot better in nogi than I do in gi.
That's how I got to know you, by the way. Was from
yeah.
the slam videos, bro. Be like, holy shit! Oh my god, this guy just went through the floor.
Well, I think one of them was from Metamoris. That was when Halleck was actually still owes me money. I always message him, you know, every now and then I go, this is our 3rd year anniversary of not getting paid. It's just like, oh, that's messed up.
Oh, wow, you were part of that too, huh?
Yeah, but it was a good experience, and I met a lot of people through that. Like networking up there I met a guy named Scott Hirano, and I did not like pictures at all of like, I did not like how anybody took pictures of me, but man, that guy can make you look like a rock star. Like he's got the angles. He had me going like this one time, like this against the wall. I was like, this is ridiculous. It's weird. But then he like, hey, check this out, and I was like, shit.
Legit, yeah.
Man, that guy is magical.
Wow.
But yeah, that was a no-gi tournament, and it was like, yeah, I just, man, they let me get behind them and then bear hug and then went for a ride. That's all I know. Get them down and choke them out.
Bro, legendary them slams, bro. Well, my journey to get to me, God, I've been in Japanese jiu-jitsu for over 40 years. So I think 1979 is when I started traditional Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Where was this?
This is San Francisco.
San Francisco?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Francisco. I moved here and while I was there, I got into sambo, catch wrestling, wrestled in high school, did freestyle wrestling. I was actually horrible at wrestling. And it wasn't because I was horrible at the techniques. I smoked in high school.
Oh.
So I was not one for, I was always the guy with talent that was unconditioned.
Yeah.
So.
Because a lot of those guys start early, that's why.
Yeah.
They got brought up wrestling.
Yeah. I got brought up early and by monsters like Todd Fisher. I think he was my first wrestling coach when I was in 7th grade. And that was already like learning that grind of a wrestler already, you know, like making, like being in rubber suits, trying to make weight, you know, jump rope in a room with a heater on, you know, stuff like that. Anyway, I moved to 93 to the Big Island, and that's when I got into Kenpo and Kaju Kembo while I was here, and then black belted in those, and then I think in...
How long did it take you to black belt on those?
Kenpo took me about 4 years, and then Kodokan, I got it in like about 86 or whatever, 79 to 86, whatever, how many years is that? And then, and that's with, you know, like 3 or 4 days or whatever. And back then they were really like schools, you know, like homework, things like that. You know, like, yeah, just a little bit more structured than how like schools are now, I guess you could say. But then I saw UFC. When was UFC? 91? 91, yeah. It was right before I moved to Hawaii. I saw UFC, and that was the first time I saw Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And I said, wow, I gotta take this. And I was already taking Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, right? And so I asked a friend, and this guy said, I don't think there's any schools where we're at, you know, because I don't even think they had maybe one school in Torrance, maybe at the time, maybe.
Yep.
And so he turned me on to Wally J, Small Circle Jiu-Jitsu. So I went there, and that was where I got my first taste more so of Newaza, a little bit closer to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But it wasn't until I think, God, I'm trying to pinpoint the year, maybe 95, 96. I'm already doing pancration style competing and things like that in the mainland. So I was already familiar with grappling and combat sports per se. And then I remember I was teaching Kenpo and I was sharing room with Rudy Valentino. So I became one of Rudy Valentino's assistants, and he would teach me kickboxing and I would teach his kids Kenpo class. And next door to him was Aikido teacher. And one day I saw a flyer and it said Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't remember if it said open mat or just said Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I said, that's the thing, right? And so I show up and it's Tom Callows. And Tom had just moved here. He had just opened, was it West Coast Martial Arts? He was where Verna's was.
Was Keenan here too?
No. I didn't meet Keenan until later, so I don't know. But it was when, you remember when he was at Verna's behind Verna's, there was like that big hangar. Yeah, so he was in there. And so I went in there and I'm like, man, I know wrestling and da-da-da. And so I thought I was going to manhandle it, but he choked me like several times with collar chokes. And I was like, wow, but I still didn't get that I need to take this yet. You know what I mean? I don't think I started taking it until I would go do seminars as a Japanese jiu-jitsu practitioner, as a catch wrestler, and I would meet guys that were blue belts in jiu-jitsu and I would roll with them. And there were some times where I'd get the better of them because of what I could do, and there were most times where I'd get caught. And I always wonder, like, man, this guy's a blue belt. And at that time, you don't understand that, what a blue belt in Brazil. That's a black belt to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? I didn't know that. I'm just thinking, like, oh my God,
in those days.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what a blue belt was, really. When I met Chapman, they were blue belt junior guys. I was like, regular people to me. But then I didn't know there was a belt rank to it too. But
and then not only but there's a belt rank, but for Brazilian, like, guys, I remember the first time I saw a purple belt. You're like, oh, whoa, there's a purple. They do exist, right? But no, and so I didn't get into it until I think around that time, and then that's when I met up with Kahana. And then, but what was funny was during that time when jiu-jitsu started getting popular, and I think everybody started hearing about BJ, on the Kona side, there was no grappling schools, period. So a lot of the guys that run schools now, or at least brown belts at school, actually all started with me in some way, shape, or form. Whether they were my students or I was the only gym that had a mat. So that's kind of where I met Champ. I met Champ and Junior through them occasionally coming to my spot, or I would go to Dave's and see them at Dave's. And that's where I met Bronson. Yeah.
That's where I met Bronson too.
Yeah. It was because there were guys back then like the Dave Elliott's who were like Kenpo guys, or like me eventually, or like Don Kawabata, where we were black belts into the arts, but we wanted jiu-jitsu in our life somehow. So we brought mats in, some people brought in another jiu-jitsu instructor. I eventually finally saw the light and said I need to actually start training this. And then when I finally got heavy into it, I got injured and blew my shoulder out, and then ended up.
Was it a training related injury?
Yeah. Totally, yeah. And just from not, being stupid, when you're younger and you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm not going to rest it. Nah, keep going. I'm good. And not knowing it's torn already. You know what I mean? And just making it worse. But, and I think that was my one regret, was I took like a 7-year break.
Oh.
Yeah. So because most of the guys that I was teaching at that time either got their black belts or like 4-stripe browns. So I always have that like, that like should be me. But at the same time, I'm kind of stoked that I'm going through what I'm going through now at 50, where I'm about to be 50. Like, to be a purple belt at 50 is kind of interesting, because like it was like a long road for me to get purple, and it's an interesting thing because I have to roll with other purples occasionally that are half my age, and maybe don't have more technique than me, but up me because of the conditioning and the athleticism.
Physical.
Yeah, the physical. And then there are times where I'm an older purple belt, so I can, it's nice having that, like, oh yeah, but I've been doing this part right here since '79, so I have a little bit of something here and there that catch you with every now and then. But now I just like you, I've just been into just really teaching. I did my stint with coaching for a while, with Shoot Hawaii, and then I actually, when I came back and got my purple belt and opened my school again, I was going under the Kaiwi Ko Academy, but everybody that would come by go, aren't you the guy that was Shoot Hawaii Dojo? And then after that, I was like, you know what, maybe I should just change it back. So I ended up changing it back to Shoot Hawaii. So it's now Shoot Hawaii.
Who'd you learn catch wrestling from?
From other catch wrestlers. I didn't have a Steve Sharoy, Todd Fisher were wrestling coaches that I learned that from, but mostly catch wrestling you kind of learn from.
Is it here or is it in Canada?
Mainland, no,
Okay,
mainland,
yeah,
mainland. Not in Hawaii. Yeah, the only thing I learned in Hawaii was Kenpo, Kajukembo, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Everything else, combat grappling wise, was in the mainland.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed, and one of the reasons why I wanted to put this podcast together was that being an older guy and a family guy in a sport or a lifestyle that kind of requires you to be young somewhat.
No, that's how I feel about it too.
Yeah,
because as long as I can beat the young guys, then I'm young.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it, right? It's like, okay, if I go class every day, I roll every day, I teach, but yet I roll, and then I like to go to occasional open mat or have guests over so that. Because I always tell my students, like, well, I can't roll with you guys. I'm not going to get any better if I don't go roll with guys that can kick my ass. So I got to go seek those guys out, get my ass kicked, find out where my game is weakening and try. But it's always that, like, my goal a lot of times is like, man, I hung with so-and-so who's only 25. Yeah. It wasn't that I got him. It was that he didn't get me tonight. You know what I mean?
Oh, he got the gold at the tournament. But ask him about me. Ask him about me.
I have a student that is just about to be 50. He's a 4-stripe white belt, just about to get his blue. But a guy that he lost tournament to was half his age. He took silver too, and the guy that he lost to won worlds just this past year. So that was inspiring. It's like, hey, dude, like you're like twice his age, man. He won worlds and he barely beat you.
No, but I'm glad. Also, jiu-jitsu also has like a division for like the older grapplers.
Yeah.
In it, there's some kind of like you can still like, hey, if I really want to, I can.
Boy, I'm like Masters 5.
No, but it's still good, like there's something like if you want to travel with your team, like you help your teammates out, they go to this tournament and there's like, you know what, maybe next year I'm gonna enter this tournament. And it was like, I
think you can compete up to in your 70s, yeah?
No, yeah, you can.
Is it Masters 7,
the oldest one I've seen online was like 65, but like I don't think anybody else registered over that. I think there would be if there were 70, but I think there was like 2 women, I think 64, 65. And
there's some of that.
Grip fighting. I was like, I get it.
That's like the basics. That's like old school white belt. Like an old school white belt where it just comes down to like that one takedown and they're trying to get the pass, but they win it that way.
Yeah, I saw a Masters match with 2 red belts one time, and they were just basically like side control, retain guard, side control, retain guard. They're just doing that back and forth, but they were so old that it was like, it was still exciting to watch, just to have them in there and everything.
Just to even be in there, man, at that age, just like, I still got it. It's like, when do you tell an athlete, like, oh, you should put it away, buddy?
But that's a good thing about
jiu-jitsu.
Never do that.
Yeah, I don't know, for me.
That's a good thing about jiu-jitsu, that they have an avenue for, like there's no like, as soon as you're in your 30s, like, sorry, we have nothing for you.
Yeah.
Like now you can still go out
there's
there.
It's one of those where you can have like there's those that are the competitors, and then there are those that are the I like to say like the bandwagoners or the trendies, the ones that are like, oh yeah, I'm going to Zumba, and then I'm going to Jits after. Where they're kind of like, they're white belts forever because they're just going to say they go to Jits.
Kind of like recreational, no?
Or just to be able to say that they do it, And then you have those who just like will go and are comfortable being
I think those are the guys that when it's time to roll, then they were there for like the warm up and technique and that. Oh, gotta go. I got work tomorrow. I got homework to do
We
tonight.
get the other guys that just come late.
So that he just come for the role.
Yeah.
He missed the warm up. Yeah. No, leg guys got as soon as they come. No, hey, go run, do something. Yeah. When Johnny, when you got your brown belt, you know, like for I remember when you got it, I saw it on video. One of the things that I get excited about is when guys get their color belts in jiu-jitsu, because it's a big deal, and I've went through belt systems in 3 different arts, and I have high-ranking black belts that didn't mean as much as when I got my purple belt.
Well, it's
you know what I mean?
It's harder at the pens. It's harder at the pens, especially if you want to get it through a pen, because they're not really big on belts. So we've had so many people leave just because they wanted to get belted. But I didn't get into jiu-jitsu for that reason. I wanted to defend myself against bigger people and, you know, rough environments, and it was a way for me to, you know, it's kind of like people want to pick fights with you at school or on the street, but I didn't want to get in trouble for it. But on the mats, then, you know, it's like, right, you think you kicked my butt? Let's see then. But
You gotta tell them the story about you.
which one? Which story?
When you at your job where you're like, oh, you think you can beat me? I'll beat you. Like, what's his name?
Which one? Oh no.
Your friend that had the detailing.
Oh, him.
Yeah.
You're talking about Jason.
Your rival.
Well, there's been a few people. I think they just, you know, I've had people challenge me just because they're like, how can this guy, this nice guy, be as good as what everyone's saying? They just think like, there's no way, no way.
They think there's a look, that's why too.
Oh my gosh, I had people like come up to my grandma's house looking for me, come to my house, or pretend to be nice to my friends so they can come to my house and challenge me. Even at parties, used to be at even at Costco races where people used to do street racing, and then Solid Rock used to have like an event where you could like box people and you know, grapple and stuff, but nobody wanted to. Everyone wanted to box instead of grapple because nobody did jiu-jitsu at the time. It was like people didn't want to believe it. But I was a lot skinnier in that time, so it was convincing whenever I used to go against a bigger guy. But even I don't want to really say his name, but yeah, he actually applied at a job, and the first thing he did when he walked through those doors, I was always like, he was like an acquaintance, but now he's in my wedding now. But even to this day, he'll try to come behind me and try to choke me and tap me out. But he specifically applied at this place because he heard that we were training on our lunch break.
No, wow.
And they were saying like, oh, Johnny's this, Johnny's that. He trains with BJ Penn, this and that. And he applied there just to challenge me. The first thing he did, I was like, how is this guy gonna work here? He looked right at me, not even like see where's the schedule, how to do stuff. He looked right at me, and he goes, oh, where's the place where you guys train and stuff? And I'm like, what?
This first day, kind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he just looked right at me and he wanted to challenge me, and I'm like looking at everybody like, are you serious? So I said, dude, why don't I was like, you gotta learn the stuff lunchtime, then you can have a crack at me, I guess. So they moved all the tables and chairs, and it was like a big commotion, and we went, and he, you know, gave up because he got tired, and he was just wondering what was going on, and he challenged the next person, and from that point on, he got like real into the sport because he kept challenging me. Even when we go on vacations, he would jump on me and try to like choke me out and stuff. So he would always try to challenge me, but that's when he fell in love with the sport because I understood like leverage and being patient. And a lot of people, especially if you don't come from that background, it's kind of like drowning. It's like drowning.
Quicksand.
So yeah, jiu-jitsu, like even, it's just a part of me, just how upbringing, how you meet people, just everything. Or maybe that's just martial arts in general. Just meeting people, get to know people, just being under stress, solving problems. Overcoming. So I had my daughter also involved in it, but right now she's in high school, so I'm letting her enjoy her time, and I'm hoping that she can come back. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. And I have a 3-year-old, so I'm letting him take his time and then slowly bring him on the mats. But yeah, I think jiu-jitsu and martial arts is something good for the family.
Well, as a brown belt, like, you know, when people get belt to the next belt, they're like, oh man, I gotta like, did you ever feel like you had to like raise your level? Like, I'm a brown belt, so I gotta hold myself at a higher standard. And
You know what? It was like that when I got my blue belt. Just because the school where I came up from was, you just have to throw out the notion of getting belted just because they weren't about that. And the school at the time, they felt that BJ should have been the guy belting all the people, but BJ was always having his training camps outside. Like, he'd be too busy because he was focused on his career, and if you were there, then if he felt you were good in a certain way, then he'd belt you. And there'd be a lot of times where I'm like, oh man, I can't make it to training, and then I'll check my Facebook, and somebody that was like my partner just got
and you're like, oh man, if I was there,
congratulations, and I'll just put my phone down, and I'm like, see babe, I should have waited. Oh my gosh. Could have just waited for this weekend. Oh my gosh, but it's cool. But yeah, I just
don't mind, man. I'm gonna hit one of these.
Yeah, but from
really coy.
But I was a white belt for a long time because I was doing no gi for a long time, and I kept wondering, like, oh, are we gonna get belted? Are we gonna get belted as a no gi guy? And they're like, no, you gotta put on the gi. And every time I put on the gi, the guys that I would give a hard time, they started giving me a hard time from even close guard, because there was a sleeve to grab and putting you back to guard. I would get all pissed off, and I would always challenge, oh, just do the no.
What you like better?
I like both. I like both, just because they offer different things.
What kind of different things?
Just sleeve, sweat, explosion. I like the slipperiness. I like the gi, the control, because you gotta look at it both. Like, maybe it's different for me because you've competed on the international level, but for me, like, just gym wise, I think it's fun. Just because sometimes if you're with your friends, like, they don't have a gi, you can just throw it on. I don't want to be like fixated on, like, no, you gotta get a gi, because it used to be like that before. But sometimes if, let's say, somebody wants to challenge you, like, oh, you're gonna make excuses again, then it's kind of like, okay, I was like, okay, put my phone on the side. I was like, okay, I have to do that with friends. I do that with friends. They would challenge me when they're drinking, get all brave. Did I tell you that story? Okay, one time I was on a break. And this guy at work, he's like 6.
Bunch of guys at your work.
No, they just. What are you working? No, they just. Hostile. I think they just get comfortable with me, and they're just like, because I'm not like big shoulders, muscular.
They're like, nah.
They're like, no, this guy's too. This guy's
soft.
Yeah, this guy's like a joker, and there's no way this guy's this rough and tough guy. But
what does he know about jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, he doesn't know anything. Yeah, it's kind of like this guy talking about Dragon Ball Z, whatever. This guy's a goofy guy. And then I remember one time we were at the beach hanging out, and then my friend's all drinking, doing all cartwheels and getting all rowdy because he was doing capoeira. So he thought capoeira was like, because he, in his own personal journey, it helped him overcome injuries. So I had my daughter, she was still like young, and he was just like, oh, me and you, Johnny, come on, we'll just go friendly kind. And I was just like, hey, you better calm down, you drinking, bro. And he goes, come on, I always want to try you. And I'm thinking in my head, why is this happening again? I'm like, well, why does this happen? And then he's just like, asking me, come on, just me and you. And then I was just like, no, right now is not the time. I have my daughter with me. He goes, oh, you're going to use your daughter as an excuse? And I'm like, oh. And I gave my keys to my friend James. Like, oh, what are you going to do? I'm like, I got to teach this guy a lesson. And he goes, are you serious? You're going to fight your friend? Like, I promise I'm not gonna beat him up. I'm just gonna control him.
Control him.
Yeah. Right. And then he was getting all pumped up. Right. He was getting all pumped up. Was checking my keys, give him my phone, and he was just like, woo, like getting like doing his howly haka, like, woo, like. But this is like at the Turtle Beach right next to the Dragon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I hope this doesn't get out of hand. Because he was getting all wild out.
Did his haka work?
No. It's not gonna work when you don't know what's going on. So we tied up, and I kind of let him use his strength because right off the bat, adrenaline's gonna kick. So I kind of let him do his thing, and I was able to put him down with ease, and he was scrambling. I was trying to control him, and I took his back, and I told him, I was like, "Are you good? You're good." And he's just like freaking out and trying to like eye gouge me. So we went from the easy. We went from the easy, and I looked at my friend, and I had to put him to sleep, because that's why I think jiu-jitsu is so good, because of the control, and like a lot of times you might have to beat somebody up.
You could sleep somebody and not.
I asked him if he was good, and then he just was moving all crazy, and he was like reaching for my eyes. I looked at my friend, and I started choking him, and he was just like tapping. He's just like dup. And I said, don't give up, because I already made in my mind, I'm gonna put you to sleep to calm you down.
Yeah.
So he's just like trying to get to my stuff and my eyeballs, and I just kind of like hit, and then you're like this, and this one limp right in my arms like a baby. And my friend's like, he's like, what did you do? I'm like, I had to put him to sleep. He was gonna get all crazy. So I was kind of like, I'm gonna say his name already, because he doesn't use the energy. And I was like, Loman, get up. Loman is like, ugh. He started getting rough. So I had to control him again. I was like, Loman, you're good.
Calm down, we'll put you out again.
Yeah, he's like, and I was like, who am I? He's like, Johnny. And I'm like, Johnny who's? Johnny Farrell. I'm like, where are you at? Kona Village. I was like, I had to like ask him out, like, you good? Yeah, so rear naked choke, it's the best move in the world. It's the greatest move in the world.
Have you guys, what was like the weirdest song you ever heard? I know this is pretty mean, but, I remember one of my friends that he put one of our instructors to sleep. And me and him were like blue belts, I think, or blue belt, purple belt. I was purple belt, I think he was a blue belt. But he put him to sleep, and then that was the first time I ever seen somebody go to sleep from the choke. And then was our instructor was like a black belt, so we're like, like, what do we do? No one knows what to do. And then like, so after he choked him out, he started snoring. Like,
oh god!
I was like, he's out.
Wow, it's.
If I was looking at him, I was like. And then he was like, what do we do? I was like, bro, I'm not trained in this thing. Like, what do we do? And he's like making these weird sounds. They were like, you're supposed to tilt him. And then we're just like,
oh, this is pre phone camera.
So we're like tilting him like this, and one side to put him on, or like, we're supposed to like pat him or something like this, or but then he just like wakes up, he's like, and he's like, are you okay, sensei, instructor? And then we're just like, after that we're like looking up, what do we do to
wow.
Oh, how long was he out?
He was out for like maybe like 20 seconds, maybe. As soon as he went, because I was rolling with my another person, then I all I heard was, and then my friends looking at me, I was just tripping. I never, we just like look at each other. What do we do? Run from the crime scene.
Wow.
So, have you ever been put to sleep?
I have actually. Was this guy named? We were doing like it was an ALJ, and we were doing back escape drills, and so we're supposed to start with a seatbelt, but this guy decided to use he had like the choke on it like this. So I was like, so I escaped it like 3 times, and I went to like on the hook side where you're supposed to go and turn, and then get out. So this time I was like, I wanted to be brave, which is like, gonna go to the choke side, right? And it was like better for him. So I go to the choke side. Yeah. So then I was like fighting, and then I remember I just went out, and then it was like pitch black, and then all I could see was like circles like this. And then as I woke up, it's like Hoffa was like holding my legs like this. I was like, what? Hoffa has my ankles like this, and he's like going like this. I was just like, is this like the private? Wish I could afford. Like, and he's like, you okay, Moku? And everyone's like, oh, he's gonna mess you up, Moku. I mean, like the guy who I was training with, and I was just like, one thing is like, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, I got choked. And like, who did that to me? And then, oh, you. I remember I was trying to collect everything back while I was putting half air. I was like laughing at. I was like smiling, but not trying to like tease me because they were like afraid I was gonna go crazy. But I was like, no, I'm good. I should have tapped.
Right,
My
it's
ego.
the gi chokes. That's why
Yeah.
you don't. It doesn't feel like you're getting choked. It's just you're going. Then next thing you know, everyone's like, "You okay?"
I went to see from a bow and arrow,
Oh really?
thinking I was gonna get out. I was like, nah.
Was it a drill or was it live?
Live? Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But I thought I was gonna get out.
Yeah.
Because I had my feet clear, and I was like, and then. Yeah, dude.
Was this at the school?
Oh, yeah, home class rolling with other belts from other places.
Did you get with this one or the pat or the?
No, we get the, I don't know why people do it, the knee to the back.
Oh, well,
Yeah, you never get that? People stand you up, they go like this, and then they wake up and you're like, what the frick? Now you just hurt my
back.
Yeah.
Wow.
you're not talking about the invisible shock like this. And
The cheek.
No, you never, bro, there's guys I see.
fake-
I could have sworn I seen John McCarthy do them, bro. Where they
No way.
They do like they sit you up, and they go like that. And I don't know if that's like freaking what defibrillator
No, it's
paddle and
legs.
starting your shit back up or what. But
Oh.
I went to a school in Waimea. I remember Jared Kawamoto, they had a school in Waimea before he moved up to Oahu, and he kept asking me a long time. And I remember, I think there was a big fire on Saddle Road, and I was like, damn, I really want to train. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go to JR's place and training with the Waimea boys, and they were like, oh, JR is good, and he does this and that. I'm like, I remember I was like, oh, I tapped JR before when we was blue belts. And they didn't want to believe that. Like, no way. So I don't know if he like got word of it, but we did a technique of a clock choke, and he was demonstrating to everybody, and he's doing it to me. And he goes, "Don't be like Johnny. Johnny doesn't tap." I'm like, "No, I tap if you got it in." Oh, he got it in like so deep. He like got it in like real deep. And I remember he went for it, and I was trying to resist. And he's like, "Hey, John, just see if you can get out." Oh, next thing you know, everyone's like looking down at me, and I'm just like,
what up, man?
and then he's like, "Bro, you're supposed to tap." I'm like, I was just like, "Oh, did I go out?" He goes, "Yeah." He was making a
Bubbles.
yeah, bro. It's the clock chokes. The same thing happened at Average Joe's. One time I couldn't make it over to Hilo, and I was with Bryson guys foundation now.
Yeah.
And there's all the Average Joes, had Champ, had everybody, all the old school guys. And then Bryson Alcordo was my training partner. And then Bryson said the same thing too. "Bah, John, you don't tap. I goes, "Bro, I'll tap if you got it on me." He goes, "Oh no, you don't tap, bro. You stubborn. You just too much pride." I'm like, "I promise, I'll tap." So he did the same thing too, clock choke too.
Drilling or you guys was live?
No, it was just drilling,
Yeah.
just regular drilling. But that's when I knew that, you know what, I'm just not gonna fight the gi chokes anymore. But that was the last time, but he got it in super deep, like behind the collar kind, and he just ran it, all his weight. Next thing you know, I'm like laying down looking up, and I see Calvin looking over me, Kiola, like, Johnny, you okay? And Bryson took his gi off. "Oh my gosh, I just killed my best friend! I just killed my best friend! Oh my god, I just killed my best friend!" And I got up, like, oh, he goes, "Bro, you gotta tap, bro. What? I thought I lost my best friend." And I'm like, "Oh shit, did I go out?" He goes, "Yeah." Calvin's like, "Wow, Johnny, I was wondering what the fuck kind of noise that was on the other side." I was training, and I'm like, and I'm like, "For real?" He goes, "Yeah, bro." I was like, "What the hell is that sound?" And look over, and Bryson took his gear off, freaking ready to call the ambulance. Thought he killed me.
Whoa.
Yeah, but gi chokes, pal.
Yeah.
The gi chokes, they're sneaky because it doesn't feel like you're getting like guillotined or rear naked. Like you'll tap to that, but gi chokes, they're so sneaky.
One choke that I didn't learn till later because I had taken a long break and I got familiar with it later in life was that baseball back choke. That was one that like
That
when
is a sneaky choke.
And matter of fact, Jason Tanaka was the first person to catch me in that. I was running with Jason.
Was it from bottom or he?
Was from bottom. Yeah, and yeah, I just remember the first time because I'd seen it, but I hadn't drilled it yet or anything. And I just remember just like, like, wow, this is a freaking good ass choke, man. I need to do this more.
Yeah, because it's sneaky because you can let the guy pass your guard.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
But the
yeah.
guy, whoop,
not even let him pass the guard, but you can let him sweep you, and he can be on his back, and he just has to keep turning.
Yeah.
And he can. I remember seeing one of the back chokes, like he had like a same grip like that, and the guy took his back, and he was just out.
Yeah.
Because he just made the choke much tighter.
Was it Majid?
No, it wasn't Majid. It was like another person I saw online. But Majid was definitely the one I was like, oh, what is this choke? I remember he hit Clark with that. I remember that. And I was like...
He was in an armbar, yeah? And he caught him.
I don't know. I just remember Clark was like... And... What is his Instagram?
Gorilla Hands.
Gorilla Hands. That's the one.
That's how he's mean. He did a seminar in Hilo. I think it was like $30.
Yeah, that's right. He came.
Yeah, he came.
That's the kind of seminars I go to, bro. $30. Not the kind where I not can eat for the next week because I went to one seminar.
No, that's when you know you're Brazilian when you get like the $350 to $500 range. Like,
oh, bro, yeah.
Man, you want to talk about paying prices, man. There's some schools out there, it's like $200, $250, $350, like a month.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. That's how I was at the AOJ. It was like $200 a month.
That's why I told my students, hey, you guys got no reason to be late. You guys not even close to anybody else. Whenever some of my guys are late with dues, I said, man, there's more schools over here. But yeah, in the mainland, God, my brother over there, I think he's at Gracie Baja. I think it's like a couple hundred, or something. Pretty pricey, man. That's crazy. But I guess for over there, because you're getting 7-day access. I guess I'm assuming.
Definitely 7 days and different. I mean, yeah.
And usually they offer more. There's usually more special features other than just jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Depends, huh?
Yeah, they have like, I think they just have, I guess, class for each person where they're like a novice, intermediate, advanced. And they have it all from kids from like 5 to 7, 8 to 10 or something like that. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot of options that you have, but comes with the price.
Yeah. And it's amazing that it's that expensive, and there's so many schools, that are not too far apart.
I think it's different mentality. That's why, because it's still kind of fairly new on, especially like the Kona side, or even anywhere on the island. Like the pricing, because like what Moku said, like it's different up there, but over here when you put out a price, then I'm like, whoa. I was like, hey, this is reasonable compared to where I'm coming from.
I think over here too, it has that kind of like the brother deals or the sister deals kind of thing, like we all kind of share.
Or you have those like that, because like I have some that's like where the mom and dad train and then they got 3 kids. And so that could be pricey. So sometimes you got to go like, okay, if you guys pay this for everybody and you come to a rubbish on Fridays. That kind of thing.
Some kind of
some kind of barter or whatever.
Clean the mats.
Yeah. Did that when I was a kid, doing jiu-jitsu. Japanese in the mainland couldn't pay or late with dues or whatever. Had a mob come clean the bathroom. Whatever.
When I was moved up to Cali, I was working full time when I was up there. A lot of people thought I was like working. I was like a full time athlete. I was working. I was working while I stood up there, and I think whenever I was working, that's when I felt like I had the most to lose, really. Because I was like, man, I'm working really hard. I'm up here, and I have nothing to lose. I don't have any titles or anything. And every day I went to work, I was just like, it's like, I don't know. It was the pressure was off. But right when I started like getting more like privates and started teaching at places, then it was like, oh man, now I have like, all this free time. Now I have the pressure to actually train, and then I gotta so it's like different pressure. But I like it as I tell people, like there's a full-time like worker kind of athlete, and there's the full-time athlete, and there's like full-time athlete, you're poor unless you're like
your sponsors are giving you monthly
stipends and shirts and stuff like that, but all those are like awesome, and definitely helps, but you still have your rent and all your other things and stuff, but like Yeah, you're most of the time you're poor, and if you're not like, say, like a Gordon Ryan or like someone like him, or Keenan, or someone that's in the scene that's like legit, not legit, but what's the
High
word?
level.
Yeah, like just
Or the top.
yeah, just known like, and that's the only way you're gonna make money off the super fights, and then
Seminars, privates.
yeah, so pretty much as an athlete, you're like on the Simon diet, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then working class is like you have all the money, but you just don't have the time to train. So there's like price. Sometimes when they say, "Oh, it must be so good to be training full time," you want to train?
Yeah. You ain't
Come over
eating.
here. I get beat up every day by all these guys, and
I have a friend. His name is Rick Marshall. Shout out to Rick Marshall. He does computer work. Like he builds like websites and stuff, and he's able to. He does that like after training for a few hours, and he travels like the world. He's an Eddie Bravo 10 Planet black belt now. But he was training at Go-Cars, Mendes Brothers. I think he got his brown from the Mendes Brothers, but he was at Go-Cars, Mendes Brothers, and he was at 10 Planet. Yeah, so he was doing all of that. But I think he got his black belt from Eddie maybe like 2-3 years ago. But I always thought that was fascinating because I would always see him stay for a long period of time. And I was like, hey, so you don't mind me asking, like, what do you do for work? And he goes, oh, I actually help the Pens with the website, and I do like build websites and stuff. I'm like, well, that must be good money. He goes, yeah, it's pretty good money. It's pretty easy. I just work a couple hours a night, and I just do training all day and all night. I'm like, wow. That's the way to go. I'm like, man. And I remember thinking like, oh, I'm going to tell my kids to do that too. So, you know. But I thought that was always a smart way. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool, because now in jiu-jitsu, back then it was all secretive. Like you have to go to the source and train there, but now it's available everywhere now. Every athlete has a website. Because they figured like you're gonna make more money doing that or you can get a bigger income doing that way than getting students. Because you're able to reach more people.
yeah, you're gonna reach more people, and they're gonna buy it because there's a lot of people doing jiu-jitsu now. It's like taking over Europe right now too. A lot of my judo friends from Europe, they're like a lot of the judokas that they're like doing jiu-jitsu now over there. Because I remember when I went to the European championship in Portugal, it was like 1 day, I think, or 2 days, and then now it's like 5 days. It's just
It's huge, man.
it's huge,
Huge. Yeah, especially when it's you see business professionals doing it, where before it was like, nah, this is for brutes. Now it's
Oh my god,
doctors and lawyers.
Dirty guys are just killing it.
Yeah. Well, before we end this segment, I know that when I started posting that we're going to do the podcast, because of where we come from, especially from where you train, a lot of people bring up BJ on the internet, and what is your take, I guess, on what's going on? A lot of if you see a lot of the news that's been going on about BJ, of course, with his personal trials and tribulations that are going on, but just recently with the bar fight, which has apparently caused the most I guess action to date with things going on.
I was sad. I was sad, but at the same time, yeah, it's just hard seeing something like that because BJ is like family, but at the same time, it's hard because BJ is trying to enjoy his life right now, and a lot of professional athletes always go out in a group of people, but BJ has no worries. He's never been that kind of guy to travel with bodyguards and stuff, but I think that episode was a big misunderstanding just because BJ was just trying to defuse the situation, and it just led to that. It wasn't him being drunk and causing trouble, but yeah, it's just when you're out there, you just got to be extra careful. That's why a lot of athletes say like don't even go out because you leave yourself vulnerable to those kind of things.
Well, one of the things, like, so if you look at like
Conor McGregor, for example, like Conor he still goes out. I mean, not goes out, but he's kind of like out there in the scene, and people want to, they're gonna do whatever it takes to get some kind of footage out there so they can get money out of it, and a lot of times it gets taken out of context it can make headlines and stuff. So it's just unfortunate that that's just how it came out, because people always want to focus on the negative side of things.
And that's what I was just about to say, was that when you see the video posts, especially the headlines, it's a headline
they're only gonna focus on that.
Yeah, it's always a negative, and it gets, as soon as you look at it, you go like, oh God, now what, right? And then you start digging into it more. But as I've seen the posts, especially a lot of the comments from people that are from Hawaii that are defending a lot of things, and I want to get your guys' take on this. So a lot of guys saying like, hey, that's just how we are in Hawaii. Like,
no, that's real. That's
definitely
there's a lot of truth to that, right?
I mean,
right. As far as like scrapping for the most littlest reasons.
Yeah.
I to this day, I'm not even a fighter. I'm just a radio guy that used to fight and do jiu-jitsu. But people still, if I go to a bar, I'll have that same kind of thing with BJ. Or, people
are gonna poke at you.
Yeah, poke at me, and I'm not even like at that status. So imagine what BJ gets.
Yeah.
And BJ, and BJ just wants to enjoy himself. It's just unfortunately, because if you're a somebody, people are just gonna, they're gonna, if an incident happens, people are just gonna be quick to turn their phones on because it's happening. Well, it happens with a lot, but it's just BJ is just enjoying himself, and unfortunately, an incident erupted, and it was caught, because even prior to BJ, it could be other professional athletes that people didn't have camera phones at the time. So it's just in this incident, it's just being blown up because it's recent, and it's a big, it's a professional athlete. But yeah, my heart goes out to BJ and the family, and I'm gonna stand by his side no matter what. So I can't wait to see you next time. I'm trying to work my way to get back to Hilo. I still have a car, so I'm working my way back up, and can't wait to see everybody and hug everyone, ask them how everybody's doing, and see all the family, see all the kids.
So before we go and wrap up this first episode here, Johnny, you're over at Penn Training and Fitness.
Yep,
on the Hilo side, right? And I don't know if you want to give their 411 on classes or anything.
Yeah, stop by.
When you're there, anybody wants to
welcome.
test you out.
Well, just come down. I usually go at nighttime.
Any of Johnny's co-workers out there?
Oh my gosh.
So awesome.
No, actually, they're trying to start something at work where they want me to run like a class.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
But I told them timing is a big thing, because, like I usually stay a lot of overtime, but they're like, oh, you should do it.
Hey, if you do that, bro, you gotta charge Brazilian seminar rates.
This guy's been trying to get me to go work with him, and I was like,
so you can put money on you at work.
Super fights. So
If
you can get past Moku, you can get to me.
No, everyone's gonna be scared of Moku. Like, they're gonna probably. There's people actually asking about it, because there's certain people that want to challenge the other managers. Like, oh, why are you gonna put it together? Because there's some people that I was like, people are interested. That's why I think that's why I think a lot of people would be drawn into it if it's available around them, because it's just a great thing, a good workout, good for stress, good for health, well-being.
And as dangerous it is, it's also very, very safe.
No, especially if you've never gone into like a conflict, everybody thinks like, oh, you make me mad, oh, you don't even know. I'd run circles around you.
and then
the worst is like, once you make me mad, I don't stop.
The best one is like, if I do this, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Oh, you know what? That's a long one, dog. Because when we first talked about it, I said we gotta talk about that. About like when because it was when people have their awakening. Because we're gonna because through many of years I have met many of guys that are now jiu-jitsu practitioners that were non-believers in the beginning, and all of these guys had their moment of when they got choked silly by a white belt, or they got lickings from a blue belt or whatever. But or girl, But Moko, of course, glad to have you back on island, and tell everybody where everybody can check you out.
I'm at the old Hulolo Theater across Paul's Place. I teach Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6 to 7:30.
And I'm 6 point something miles away from Moko on the same road. Yeah, at Shoot Hawaii, and come check me out too. But thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, hopefully by the next episode we'll be in our studio. And thank you to
Thank you, sponsors.
Kona Grill House.
I'm gonna start eating
This is mine.
Bam, Kona Grill House. Other sponsors that send a shout out to that are going to be joining us when we get in the studio. Bio Aston, and shout out to Choke Tape. Yeah.
Sure,
All right. Mom.